one of the things that came out very clearly in the research was the need for leadership for resilience, and particularly adaptive leadership. And rather than people talking about the characteristics of leaders or leadership styles for resilience, what we heard time and time again were three things. And these are really about the kind of practice, the work of leadership in organizations. And those were direction. So the direction of the resilience, why we're doing it, what's the purpose of resilience in the organization, and alignment of activities across boundaries, across borders, across silos in the organization, and then a commitment of people to building resilience. So this notion of direction, alignment, and commitment being the work of leadership in the context of resilience was really important. And I just want to pull out a little bit about that last element, because if we want people to be committed to resilience, we need to create the psychological safety and the empowerment for them to be able to speak up about problems, to be able to take on board some of those issues and deal with them, and have the expertise to do so. So I think this comes down to like ownership and responsibility for resilience as well. I think in the past, we've often seen as resilience as something that maybe sits in a technical department. I think we are seeing ownership for resilience now very much at the board level and the senior management team level, but that also cascading through the organization, so everyone feels that some responsibility and ownership for the resilience of the organization.
Yeah, and I think this is, again, an important point. We talked previously about resilience being about strategic choices, and absolutely it is, and it has to be. But resilience can also be undermined by the day-to-day decisions that go on in an organization. So that point about leadership being at every level of the organization and the decisions that are taken at every level of the organization, and cascading through, is really important. I think the other aspect that's really important here is when we talk leadership, it wasn't just about a leader. I think in the financial services, they've gone down, we do want an accountable executive for resilience at a senior leader position who are accountable for it. But it's also then, it has to go through the board. It's about board governance process as well. So there's a lot more to leadership than just about a leader. And I think that's really clear in the report.
Yeah, I agree. So we got ownership here in terms of an accountable officer and senior leadership. We've also got leadership for resilience being at all levels, and ownership and people taking up their own authority to deal with emergent problems. Previously in the videos that we talked about the need for essential outcomes, and one of the other aspects that we saw in the research is where an organization identifies the essential outcomes, and there might be multiple for any organization, there's a clear ownership for that essential outcome in those organizations as well.
And some of this may become more important for some organizations. The government produced a consultation report very recently around audit and governance of major organizations. And in there, they're proposing a resilience statement that organizations have to produce as part of their reporting each year. And I think to achieve that, organizations will need to think about, how are we going to do that, and where is the ownership and the leadership in the organization that will bring that forward. It could be quite a significant sort of pull on organizations to make sure that resilience in terms of the leadership and cascaded through the organization is in place. And in terms of, the practices we've talked about through all our sessions, they provide, when put together, a systematic approach to being able to understand the resilience of your organization and what more needs to be done, where the vulnerabilities might be, and then to sort of stress test those through and make sure, okay, we've addressed and we're as resilient as we think we need to be and can be against these scenarios right now. So I think all of that comes together really, really well.